Today I will be speaking on the importance of donating and recycling your old clothing. This topic is not addressed as often as it should be, and I think that's a shame because throwing away old clothing in the trash produces unnecessary waste and causes pollution. As shown on this chart, currently in the United States, only around 18% of all textile waste is recycled or reused, while the rest is put in landfills or put in an incineration center. This problem has grown in recent years due to the rise in popularity of fast fashion. Because of this, people are getting rid of clothes and buying clothes at a much higher rate, causing more clothing pieces to go to landfills. This is why people need to learn about environmentally friendly ways to discard their old clothing. I will discuss the growing problem of clothing going to landfills and incineration centers, the reason this is happening, and some of the simple things we can do. Throwing old clothing or other textiles in the garbage increases the growing problem of overflowing landfills in America. Trash that is not recycled is either burned in an incineration center or dumped into a landfill. There is a problem with both of these ways of getting rid of clothing. With incineration, regardless of what is being burned, waste that is incinerated produces harmful chemicals and pollutants and can negatively affect the health of every living thing on this planet. The problem with clothing in landfills is that when it is left there to decompose on its own, it produces harmful chemicals and gases. As it does, all these gases are harmful to the environment. These pictures show the alarming amount of clothing in landfills and incineration centers. Why is this a problem? The problem with an overabundance of clothing being disposed of is partly due to fast fashion and overconsumption because it causes people to wear items less and throw them away faster. After all, they did not pay very much for these items, and they can replace them for a relatively affordable price. As this chart shows, there has been a dramatic increase in clothing sales, but also a dramatic decrease in the number of times an item is worn since the rise of fast fashion. The fast fashion industry is continually mass producing items, and Americans continue to buy an abundance of things that they do not need. Fast fashion has affected customer attitudes toward clothing and has caused them to waste more because they can affordably replace such cheap items. Things that are good, like recycling and donating clothing, are virtually ineffective if they are paired with an alarming amount of overconsumption, which brings me to my next point: how we can help. There are many ways in which we can help lessen the amount of clothing that gets wasted in non-environmentally friendly ways. But first, we must change customer habits. Americans need to change their mindsets about fashion, and rather than giving in to fast fashion, we need to start investing in more sustainable items and wear them each piece longer instead of consistently buying and throwing away items. After you've gotten a lot of wear out of your clothes, the next way to discard clothing in an environmentally friendly way is to donate your lightly used clothing to a local thrift store or a charity store, such as Goodwill or the Salvation Army, or sell them for a small profit through a consignment agreement. The next way to get rid of your clothes in an environmentally safe way is to drop them off at a recycling center. The material that is in your clothes can be cut up and thoroughly washed to remove the impurities, and then it can be made into new clothing, blankets, rags, insulation, or other types of textiles. According to one recycling company, 95% of all used clothing is recyclable, while only 5% is unable to be used due to mildew or other contamination. Getting rid of old clothing by donating or recycling clothing helps reduce the waste from not only the items themselves, but also the waste from having to manufacture virgin clothing in its place, rather than being able to use the materials that are in those clothes to make new pieces. Doing these things also lowers the negative impact on the environment from the toxic chemicals and pollution that are caused by landfills and incineration. Also, not only is donating clothing a good way to get rid of clothes, but it also is a way to give back to the community, because giving them to thrift stores, homeless shelters, etc. can provide the less fortunate with some free or very affordable and nice things to wear. In conclusion, donating or recycling your clothing is a great and environmentally friendly way to get rid of unwanted clothes, and though one person's change of mind clearly isn't going to make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things, if we lead by example and teach others about the importance of getting rid of clothing in an environmentally safe way, then eventually change will come. We should always do what we can as stewards of what God has given us to take care of our world the best way we can. And that is the end.